You know what I mean?
Focus. Live. Keep rolling.
Good morning, everyone. What's up?
Guys and car gals. Wow, we need to get a little bit in focus. Hold on.
Boop, boop. I think we're getting into focus right now. We're getting there.
All right. We are excited to be here this morning with all of you Solutionaries. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Man, I just have that in my heart because I got to see my friend Glenn inside a car church this morning, and it was great. Man, I am so excited because we got another friend that was connected to us by Glenn, and this friend is a Simon, and when he says to do,
and he's rhyming.
My friends, that's right. But no, we are just so excited. We are pumped up, and we are having a great time just trying to keep the microphones up. But good morning. I am Lou Ramirez, the car guy.
And I'm Fred Lenartz, the subprime hero, and I'm so excited this morning. I'm in such a great mood. I woke up on the right side of the bed, and man, when I rolled out, I was ready to rock and roll today with our special guest, Mr. SS, Scott Simons himself, somebody that we look up to, somebody that we can find a lot of fellowship with. This gentleman has been through a lot. He's done a lot. He also gets involved in a lot. This man is constantly looking for ways to keep growing. And that's what I'm excited about having him on the show. He's part of the CMA group, been doing it for a long time. He is doing everything he can to increase their level of
awesomeness.
That's it, man. I mean,
you got to put it in one word.
It's a good way of putting it, the awesomeness,
right? A stands for awesomeness.
It does, man, and that's exactly what it stands for. And there are a bunch of awesomeness people over there at CMA. Folks, if you haven't heard of that group, you guys must not be in the automotive industry, or even if you're not, you probably have heard of them. That's how much they're influencing people. They do more than sell vehicles. They create a culture. They do things that make people want to do more. They get their team involved. They make their team members owners of this store, my friends. So understand what that is about. Everybody who comes and works there is a owner. That's huge. That's ownership. That is what it takes for people to want to take it to the next level, take the job even more seriously than just a job. Now it's your business.
So everybody, when the customer walks in there, is like, man, I want to talk to the owner, and everybody can say,
hey, what's up? I can help you.
It's your lucky day, pal. Put it there.
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, and that is what's so neat. Hey, you just bought a car from the owner, right? So that being said, obviously there's a level to the chain of command there, but there is a level of everyone takes ownership. And that is a huge bit of culture that I think a lot of people need to start to learn how to implement. I'm not saying you need to give away your store, but what I'm saying is you need to get your people part of the team, and not just a part of a team where you tell them what to do. It's a part of the team where they own part of it, where they take love involved in it, their heart gets involved in it. It takes a lot more than just being part of a team to do something like that. So I love that they're doing that. I love that we have our guest today. Exciting. We got to see him in Lexington, Kentucky at Grow for God. Man, what an event that was. It was Glenn Lundy's very last episode, his 1000th episode of Rise and Grind, folks. Oh, kind of sad. I love that guy. He influenced this show so much, influenced me in a million different ways. His Morning Five really did change my life. Just the idea. I took so many little things from that and used it to help me grow. So Glenn, we love you. Thank you for being who you are. Congratulations. And I look forward to see how far you go, because I know it's going to keep going. But we have somebody amazing in the show today. Somebody that even Glenn would be like, is a baller, right? Somebody that would do the right things and make you excited, right? I'm excited to have this leader in the cafe.
So do us a favor. Tag a car guy.
I need to tag some people.
Tag a car guy.
We need to get some people in here.
And share.
Let's go.
Share.
I'm sharing right now as we speak.
There is so much that can be said about this person. And again, everything just Fred said, well, that was fantastic.
Oh, thank you, brother.
Cheers.
Let Let me get
Welcome to Car Guy Coffee, everybody.
Let's brew.
Where we tend to get a little deep, right? But inside of that, you don't have a company if you don't have people. A company isn't the logo, isn't the building. A company of people.
But a cool logo is cool.
A bunch of people. It is cool to have a good logo, right? But a company is the people.
It is the
people you have around you is the company around you, folks. It's very simple, but very profound that you don't have anything unless you have everybody with you going at the same beat, and you do not go at the same beat without needing to get everything in cadence. And when that cadence is together, it is triumphant and it is strong, and you see incredible victories coming. And then people start to see you as an army. That A might also stand for Army. Army of Awesomeness is who the CMA crew is.
That's
and
right.
I am excited to have a general inside of the industry, inside of the cafe today. And we need to go ahead and make welcome. You all need to go ahead
You
and
know the deal. Get your hands together, stand up, get pumped up, let's
get
go.
on your feet right now, because we have the one, the only
Scott Simons.
What's going on, Scott? Welcome to the cafe.
Guys, I tell you what, I'm glad I had a monster this morning. Y'all got some energy. Wow. You know, that's why I like y'all guys so much. The energy that you bring, the positivity that you bring. And it's a real honor for me to be on this show. I've gotten to know you gentlemen through Glenn Lundy, and what two great guys. So it's a true honor for me to be on here with you today. And thank you for asking me to be on your awesome show. I appreciate it.
We appreciate you. And I'm going to use that last 30-second clip over and over.
You have my permission. You have my permission.
Thank you, Scott.
How can you not smile being around y'all two? I mean, look at this energy. If you were in a bad mood before you tuned in and you're still in a bad mood, you're just in a bad mood. There's no way.
You need some more Car Guy coffee.
That's what it is. You need another sip of this, right? So, you know, we're excited to have you on the show, Scott. Scott, you know, your reputation is amazing. You know, and then when we finally got to meet you in person, it was even more like your reputation to me. You could throw that out the window. As great as that is, you're an amazing person. The energy that comes off you, that we fed from you, like there was something special about that. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, because I'm thinking about the first time that I actually did get to meet and hug you. You know what I mean? That you were on the phone. It was crazy because, you know, you guys, for any of you that have been into an event and know kind of how I can get, you know what I mean? I saw him. He reaches out. He comes and we get a hug, and I go immediately into how much awesomeness he is, and I'm so excited to meet him, and blah blah blah. And he's like pointing to his ear, like just smiling, pointing to his ear. I'm on the phone. And I'm like, man, I love you so much. It's so awesome to see you. And and he's like,
hey,
it's hilarious.
But that's it though. But you still went out of your way while you're on the phone.
You
To
did.
give him a big hug and let him know, hey, I'm here, smiling, and we love that about you. You're a giving soul, and you know, one of my favorite things, honestly, of the whole event, all 3 of those days, was you interviewing Glenn.
That was so
you really hit some heartstrings on that. I know we talked about it before the show, but it truly was just a beautiful interview. Like you really you asked some questions, like you mentioned, that no one else has ever asked him. And to see his reaction to those, to see how his heartstrings were getting pulled and how the tears were pouring from his eyes when he was talking about certain things, it was deep. You know, a lot of times we get into these interviews, and these interviews can just be skin level, you know, and they don't really get as deep as they should sometimes. And you got deep with him. And I appreciate you for doing that, because we learned more about Glenn that day. We saw his emotions on his sleeves. Now, he always has his emotions on his sleeves, but he is Glenn Lundy, the host of Rise and Grind, right? He does his thing every morning, and that's what he is. But to see him actually become Glenn Lundy, the father of 8, the husband of 1, right? To see him sit there, you know, to talk about his father, to talk about his past, to talk about things like that was just, it was deep. And it was really beautiful. And you did a great job, Scott. I don't know why you don't have your own show yet, which I'm sure you probably will. But you did a great job with that. And your interview skills are fantastic. You really did bring out the emotions. It was like watching somebody go on Oprah and start breaking down. Really, it's what it was like. I mean, I wouldn't be too far if Glenn wasn't on Oprah one day. But that being said, no, great job, man. We're excited to have you on the show. But before we do anything else, Scott, we love to do these things called the 3 Fs.
That's right.
Now, it's like a secret handshake to be part of the Solutionary crew, and we believe that these 3 Fs are very important and very crucial to help you keep growing. The first F is forgive, in order for you to forgive, you have to let it all go. It's the only way you can really grow. A lot of times we hold on to a lot of excuses on our shoulders, things that people have done to us in the past, reasons why we believe we can't do something, or things that we messed up on, things that we made mistakes because we were young and we were dumb or whatever it was, or we just didn't listen to somebody, or we just did our best, right? And at the end of the day, it just didn't work out. So we have that on our sleeves, like, oh man, I can't do it. No, that's not true. The truth of the matter is we got to try again. Just do it differently, right? And that is what forgiving is. You got to let all that go so you can focus on what you want. Because when you have no weight of unforgiveness on your shoulders, it's easy to focus on what you want. You don't have to worry about, oh, this, I can't do it because of this or that. You just do it. And then you just fly everywhere you want to go so you can keep growing. So we're going to do the 3 F's really quick, and then we're going to get this interview going, my friend. Now, get ready for it, Lou. Why don't you break it down for him on the dance moves?
So let's get our hands on our shoulders like this. Both hands on the shoulders. This represents the weight of unforgiveness. Go ahead and cross your hands right here. If your hands are stuck here because of unforgiveness, it's your choice to be there or to wipe it off. So we wipe it off on 3. Forgive, focus, fly. 1, 2, 3.
Forgive, focus, fly, and keep growing, keep growing, keep growing. That's right, Scott. Now you are in it. You are a solutionary. Now solutionaries have 5 core values. The first one is love. Man, and we know that you have that core value inside you. The second one is honor. And brother, if there's anybody I know who honors people, it's you. The third one is faith. Faith is what you have, no doubt. You have to have faith in order to grow, to believe that things are going to come to you that you never thought were, to believe in a lot of things, right? Then you also have to be adaptable. And you're very adaptable, my friend. Obviously, you went from no social to big-time social, and we'll talk about that some more later. And the very last one is being consistent with all those things. And brother, you are truly a certified solutionary in my book. So honored to have you on the show. Let's get to the questions. Now, the very first one, it's a why. We all have one. We all have a reason. People who are successful focus on that why. People who are successful will know how to use that why to drive them to the next level. What is your why?
Well, my why, again, thanks for having me on. I really admire and respect both of you gentlemen, and it's an honor for me to be here. My why is from the sacrifice of my parents. So my parents growing up, they both sacrificed so much to give my brother and I an opportunity to be successful. My aunt Mary that helped raise us also sacrificed. So when other people sacrifice and give you an opportunity in order to be successful, it is now our responsibility to try to be the best versions of us possible, knowing that we are going to fail. What y'all just brought up, there's a lot of times in my life that I did things that I'm not proud of. And I said, hey, if I can get through this, and God, if you'll help me get through this, I promise I'll use it and be a good steward. And I still make mistakes often. I'm not a perfect individual. But I just try to be a good human being and treat people how I want to be treated. And give it my best every single day, not taking one day for granted. There's a lot of people that depend on us to show up and be positive and lead by example, both with my family, both at the businesses, the car dealerships, and in the community. And when some people have sacrificed for you to give you that opportunity, I take that very serious. So yeah, I'm just a blessed guy. I've been given some opportunities, surrounded myself with some really good people. And that's where I'm at today. So my why is not letting my parents' sacrifice go in vain. And it's something that I'm going to carry on through the rest of my life and try to be a positive light into people.
Wow.
Boom.
Very, very, very nice. That is a great answer. I love where your heart is with that fact. And one of the things you said in there was you treat others like you want to be treated.
Cool.
Not like how you don't treat others like how you think they should be treated, how you want to be treated, like it's yourself. Yeah. How would you want that to be? Just like how would you want your mother to be treated? How would you want your brother to be treated? Not a friend. And don't take this the wrong way, people. A lot of people treat their friends wrong. You don't treat them like family. You don't treat them like yourself. I believe that God wants us to treat everybody the same, as in like they're your family, blood. You love them so much that you would do anything, even die for them. That is what you want to do for others. And when you can do that, you will receive that tenfold, no problem. And it happens without you even noticing. But you have to truly do that. And that is why I believe your why is so powerful. What you do and what you say and what you just said there, that is deep. but it's so simple at the same time, right? It's just a way of life. And if you wake up every single day with that intention of going out and being that way with others, you will receive that back so much that your world will change. I mean, it will open your eyes to being, you'll want to give more, you'll want to do more, you want to do this more. So yeah, appreciate that, man. That's a great why.
Yeah. And I tell you guys, the number one thing to me, just like I'm sure with y'all, it's loyalty.
Oh, amen.
I'm loyal to everybody till they give me a reason not to. And I don't try to make enemies. It's just, and I try to give them benefit of the doubt. Like, I'll give you an example. My block list on my social media, I have one, and I may reach out and say, you're a friend of mine, and you put a negative post up, and I may say, hey, Fred, hey, Lou, hey man, I really don't get into that hate, let's talk about it. You want to get on a phone call? And then if you continue to do it, I simply just block and move on. I don't want to make you an enemy. I just don't want that negativity in my world. So I may have 1,000 Facebook friend requests, but I may have 250 people blocked because I just don't want it. I don't want it in my atmosphere. I don't want it in my environment. I don't want it anywhere. And also, I would rather treat people the way that I would want to be treated through action. I think there's a lot of people that profess to be Christians or whatever the case may be, but they don't, their actions don't match their words. I would much rather live a certain way, which I brought up before. And, and I talk about this, my my legacy I want to be is, if you've got one phone call, and that's the only phone call you can make, and me, that you would choose to call me. And that's what the legacy I want to be left, which has to do with my why and has to do with my parents' sacrifice. So that's a fantastic question.
That is huge.
Wow.
And you also said that from the stage too, about being real Christians, right? And remember the word, folks. The word, or little Christs, is actually the translation of it, right? Little Jesuses, those that do lay themselves down for others, ones that do sacrifice of themselves for everyone else. And you also hit that part of, it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to work it out. So to really break down the word, folks, and I love that we're in great company that we can have this time and get into that, where the word does say faith without works is dead.
That's right.
Continue to dig into it. It's faith without good works is dead. So you saying that you have faith and then you don't proceed into doing the work of the faith, which is the action. You can say that you love your brother, but when the opportunity comes for you to not love your brother, that's when the opportunity for true love presents itself, right? If you only love those that love you, well, what is that? That was Jesus speaking on the Mount. That's not love. Love your enemy. Love those that try to deceitfully use you, those that try to abuse you. How do you love them? Because a lot of times the people that have aggression towards you are, really, they're trying to break something because they're broken, right? They're trying to hurt something because they're hurting. And it's important that we find a way to connect the dots by laying ourselves down. Our pride can rise up real quick and easy. If somebody offends us, it's easy, right?
Yep.
We're all men, and we're a lot of the A types, a lot of the alphas. Yeah, not on my, you ain't messing up on my ground. You ain't doing that around me, right? But when we get to lay ourselves down for the moment, let our pride be still, and then let our heart be in there where we are actually focused. We're not distracted by all the extra noise. We are focused on the heartbeat of the person inside of the person, whether or not their actions reflected a true Christian or a true person that believes in laying themselves down for another, has to be into a place where they recognize, I am doing something that's other than me because of someone else. So I take a seat back so that others can shine. I take a seat back so that others can be heard. And that's where healing comes in. And you don't grow a great business without dealing with crazy conflict at different times. Sometimes it's a storm. Sometimes it's a steady, just annoying poke, right? But you don't grow a business without that kind of pressure and pain, because that's where the victory, that's where the grit comes in. Just like being in the gym, you got to break those muscles down to build them up.
You know, there's no way for you to build unless it gets broken. So there's so much that goes with that. And I'm sure that we can rock the correlations all day. But brother, we honor you. You inspire us to just, again, we said it yesterday, we are some yakaholics.
We are,
and, but we love you, man.
But what we love about Scott is, about you, Scott, is that, you not just don't speak those words, you mean those words,
Yes.
and through action. And it's not just like recent action. This has been your whole career. We look at, I go back, and after I get somebody on the show and I know you skin level, I go and I research you a little bit more. Right. And I find all the things that you're into. I got your bio, and man, all those things that you're invested in and all those things that you do through your community, huge. The more you give, the more you get. And that's a fact. And there's something about that. And it's not the fact that we're going to get something from it. It's the giving. Actually, what you get is that fulfillment, right? The money will come. Money is a byproduct of doing the right thing. We're all blessed. We're supposed to live in abundance if you do the right things, right? But the thing is that you have to give. But your heart fills up so much more when you do that. You find that you're going to be on the cutting edge of so many different things besides just love. It's culture. It's future products. It's things that are coming up. You're going to know people. There's so many connections that happen because of these investments that you do with people, with businesses, with community, that you grow beyond. Now, I know that next question, I know that's what it is. I'm excited about it, actually, because I'm curious. So I want to pass this on to him. But we appreciate what you do. I appreciate that you've put a mold out there for us to be able to follow and say, hey, look, this is success, and this is what it takes. And there's obviously, you've been through your stumbles, you've been through your struggles. We've seen, everyone does. There's no such thing as a perfect walk, but how boring would that be, right? That would be so boring if everything was just, nothing ever went wrong. Everything was just money. I mean, it would be cool for a day or two, but at the same time, where do you really grow? Where do you become more? Well, that's through the failures. That's through the things that become struggles. Man, I'm pumped up.
Man, I mean,
it might be this double caffeine coffee I'm drinking right now.
The adversity, yeah, you're exactly right. The adversity is what makes us who we are. And one thing I'm concerned about having children is they haven't faced as much adversity as I did growing up.
Right.
And if you've never been really, what's Mike Tyson say? You got a perfect plan until you get punched in the mouth. 100% and right. I'm really concerned that a lot in society, our children have not had to see the struggle. Now, there are plenty that have. I'm not saying that. But, when I coached football, the toughest children typically was raised by a grandma.
Yep.
On the football field. They didn't have their mom and dad there to coddle them. So the adversity makes us who we are. And then, Lou, what you talked about earlier, when you were referencing dealing with issues at work and community, what I typically find when I interview people, when they're upset, when I find out a customer is upset, it's either we didn't follow up with them and clearly communicate. So it wasn't necessarily the situation that they're upset about. It's how the situation was handled. It was our reaction to the situation. And then I typically find also too, that whenever an employee has an issue and they're not acting normal, it's something outside of work.
Yes.
The consumer has something going on. And I typically just break them down and get to know them, say, hey, really, let's talk about the situation. But is there anything else that's going on that's got you bothered? And typically I find out, well, yeah, I had gotten a fight with my girlfriend or whatever the case may be. Or, I find out it's not the situation. It's either a lack of communication of the situation or it's something outside of what really happened. Because, we can, if it's a specific situation, we can make that right.
Man. That is a leader right there, my friends. You see that? Like when you have somebody or something that is not normal doing something outside character that's using an outside source that's causing this to happen. Now, as a leader, don't just let it go by. They may not even tell you what it is, but they want to know you care. Period. Hands down. You go in there and you ask them that question. Hey, I noticed that something's a little off today. Is there anything that you want to talk about? Is there something I can help you with? Because here's the thing. They feel like they're in their own world. If you get in a fight with your spouse, sometimes you don't want to tell people. Sometimes you don't know what to do. You're kind of in a weird mood. You just show up to work because you have to be there. Next thing you know, your first customer comes up and you get mad because they're not doing it your way. You take it out on them, right? That's human nature. We can't help that, but that's okay. We all make mistakes. We just got to learn and move on from that. But as a leader, if you recognize that, and you do, Scott, and I know that you do, there's no doubt. As a leader, if you recognize that, it's your job to go in there and to not just be their boss, but to be their friend, their mentor, their confidant, right? Somebody that they could speak to and feel comfortable enough to be able to say, hey, this is what's going on, and then at that point, you as a leader can just lead him the way that they should be led. You know, maybe you'll give them advice. Maybe they'll just hear you. Maybe they just want somebody to lean on and talk to. A lot of times that's what it is. Just somebody to be able to vent to. I have my brother Lou right here. Anytime I want to vent, this is who I vent to. And he knows that I'll throw ham on him like, blah. But he knows like 30 seconds later, I'm right back to me. I just got it out. I had to let it out to somebody, because if I don't, I'm going to just, too much, right? So it's good to have somebody like that. And Scott, man, you definitely do that so well, man. The car business is so lucky to have you in it. We are very blessed that there's a Scott Simons out there trying to do what he does, not just for the people he's selling cars to, but to his team, to his community. Man, I think that leads right into the next one.
It does set things up. So folks, there's a lot that goes into connecting people, connecting the dots. And if anything, the separation that we got forced in and are still breaking out of, it shows us the value of meeting and connecting to people. What I do love and honor is that I had the chance to meet you at a business conference where we were discussing growing our business for God's sake. And that's where we actually made the chance to make the connection. And to touch on what Fred was hitting on is how intentional you are with the seed that comes into your hand, what comes to you, and how you give to your community, what you sow into, what you're waiting to see a harvest come from. And all of that's just designed to resow again. The word says that he gives seed to the sower. So the more often that seed is put into your hand, the discernment that we need to pray for is, God, what do I do with it? What seed do I make bread from? And what seed do I sow back into the ground? And as we do that, we get excited again. We find other people that are in the bakery. You guys heard us say it earlier, how I had the chance to meet him and how he was on the phone, and I still forced him to take a picture with me too. This is it right here. Check it out. Check that out.
I still got the same shirt on.
You see the photo?
Yeah.
Heck yeah. That's what I'm talking about, folks. That's what happened. The car guy had the opportunity to meet the one and only Scott Simons. I mean, seriously, we've only seen him glowing a little bit on Clubhouse, right? Now we had the chance
Mike Flash.
And now he's in, Mike Flash, Fashion Mike. And now he's inside of the cafe. So this car guy in this industry wants to know what brought you to the car business.
So I grew up in Southern West Virginia, and we were, middle class. The area we were from, McDowell County, West Virginia, is a lot of the counties below poverty. And I remember our first vehicle we purchased was like a old Celebrity, and my dad took that vehicle to the Vogue school. And you could take a vehicle and donate it to a Vogue school, and the kids will fix it as a project. Well, they didn't fix a car that was donated. That was our car. So they fixed our car, our family car. And, people in Vogue schools, they're learning how to do things.
Yep.
So they didn't necessarily fix this vehicle. It was a project. So that was our first car. So I remember at some point growing up, I saw a gentleman driving a really nice car, and he had on a nice suit. And I was like, what does he do? Well, he sells cars. And I said, well, if I sell cars, I can drive a nice car like that. Well, yeah, you can. And I can, afford things like that. My dad worked 5 jobs. He never made more than $32,000 a year. My mom was a lab supervisor. So the ability to drive a nice car, to not have to drive that Celebrity, where I'd ask my dad to drop me off from the school, because, kids are cruel, right? Yeah. Dad, do not drop me off near the school. He said, I will never forget. He said, son, don't ever be ashamed of who you are.
Yeah.
Don't ever be ashamed of who you are. So that taught me a life lesson also. And my dad and mom taught me a lot of life lessons. I was really fortunate. So that's what got me interested in the auto industry. So I graduated with my 4-year degree in 2.5 years. I got my MBA in 1.5 years.
Wow.
And I looked at my dad, and I worked full time the whole time. And I looked at my dad and mom, and they said, what are you going to do now? You're going to go get your law degree and be a sports agent. I think at one point I said I wanted to be. And I said, no, I said, I'm going to go sell cars. And you would have thought that I shot my dad in the chest with a gun. What do you mean you're going to go sell cars? I said, well, I'm going to go learn the finance part of it, and then I'm going to go sell cars. And my dad and mom were just shocked. And they said, well, why did you go to school get a master's degree. I said, well, no one could ever take that away from me.
Nope.
So I've got that, and I proved I can do it. And I want to own a car dealership one day. So to do that, I've got to sell cars. I can't own a car dealership. And it wasn't like my parents were wealthy. You know, they provided for my brother and I. He's the smart one of the two. I'm a car salesman. Just kidding. And he's a doctor. But, you know, I wanted to make unlimited income. I wanted the chance. You know, one thing about the auto industry, you know, we don't really, you know, we care about your character, but we will forgive someone's past. The barrier of entry is, you know, if you have a good attitude and you want to accomplish things in life, the auto industry can provide that.
Amen.
And some of the people with the most checkered past appreciate the opportunity even more.
Yes.
It's just, have they learned from that? Have they rehabilitated themselves? And can they be a productive member of our team? And so we really, when we interview people, we do not disqualify them because of their past. Now, we do a thorough background check and everything else, but we sit down and talk to people. So yeah, that, you know, I got in the auto industry because I guess I like nice cars, and I wanted to have the ability to make unlimited income. And then I wanted to own a car dealership one day. And through that journey, through getting around the right people, getting around the right companies, with some luck, I was provided that opportunity by CMA 11 years ago, buying into my first store. Now I own 5 with Carter Myers Automotive Group. We have 19 now.
Congratulations on all that, Scott Summers. Woo! Man, I love that. I didn't know half of that, which is
awesome
more than half of that. That is deep. That is amazing. You know, I didn't realize that you basically got your MBA in less time than people do a 4-year degree. I mean, you did it in 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Now,
and chose the car business.
And you know what's so funny? And I know your brother's the smarter one out of the two, but I have a feeling that you probably have a little bit more income coming in every month. Now, no offense to doctors. Doctors are great, and they go to school, and they're needed. And they're essential, right? But we are too. And this business is essential. Like I think we made it very evident during this last crisis is that people still need to be able to buy cars and have their cars serviced and have them fixed and have those options, because they have to be able to get to work, right? And that's so essential in this world today. And I love that. I'm so glad that you got in this business and the way you did. I think that by going through your path that you chose, by having that education first, coming into this business, it opened your eyes to different things, different views. The average salesperson doesn't have that education, right? Well, the average one. And to go in, they look at it through different lens, right? You have different perspective because you have different experience. Mm-hmm. So you came into this business with a whole different lens of how you were going to do it, how you were going to make it happen, which I love that. And that's what makes you special. That's what makes you Scott Simons, right? That's what makes you who you are today, and have that type of confidence. I think that also that education gave you the confidence. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, when they get in here, they don't believe I didn't do anything. I just went to high school and I'm here selling cars. Well, you're doing so much more than that, folks. I don't care if you have a MBA, if you're a GED, if you don't even have any of those. If you got into this business, opportunity is there. It's knocking every single day. Mm-hmm. All you have to do is put the work in and show the effort and let people know and speak the words. God wants you to speak the words of what you want to do. You want to be an owner one day? Say, I want to be an owner, but put work behind all that faith. If you don't put work behind it, you won't get there. Scott, he did that. He put work behind that. He didn't just get his MBA, came in, I'm going to own a store. No, he had to put the work behind it.
Come on.
11 years ago, he finally got in there, and now he's a partner and he is an owner, and now he's doing it. And every day he's finding ways to constantly grow. And like I mentioned earlier, he's investing his money too into his community, into businesses, into other people, into himself. That is key. You have to invest in yourself too, folks. That's another thing we need to talk about sometimes. You know, it's investing in yourself, whether it's education, whether it's, taking yourself to the gym and working out so you can have a body that can last a lot longer than the average body, right? So you can do all this stressful work without having to feel like it's taking a huge toll on you. Because that's what happens when you're out of shape. You work for a couple hours, you're like, man, I'm wore out. So you have to be able to work on all those things, mind, body, and soul, right? And he's doing that extremely well. Man, that was exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah, that's so true. And I'll tell you this, I learned more. I started selling Saturns is where I started my career. Hey. And I learned more working with Saturn about customer experience and the right way to treat people, that I learned more in the auto industry in about 9 months than I learned through all of my education, because it was real world. It was reading people and situations and how to take care of people. And so the education I got in the auto industry, and that's what we tell young people. we've got a program here at Carter Myers Automotive Group through FCA, through Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, that if you come to work for us, we will send you to college. It's a program through Strayer University, take classes online. So I tell people, and we have a young man that came here, graduated from college. He's like, man, I wish I'd have came here. You could have sent me to college. Was working at a bartender as a bartender, could not find a job. He came here and I said, we mentor our people. I said, listen, these are some things I would like to teach you about financial literacy because we mentor. And he goes, no one's ever taught me this. No one's ever taught me about 401ks and why should I max out my 401k and why should I buy my first house? So this young man in 1 year through 9 months, come here for a job. He didn't come here for a career. He came here for a job, just to get a job. He made $100,000 in 9 months, maxed out his 401k at $19,500, bought his first starter home, which we suggest buy your first starter home, has a baby and started a 529.
I know who this is.
Corey Darkus.
Corey Darkus. And man, what a superstar he is.
Yes.
He is a light out there in the world. That is a special story that's not uncommon with the CMA folks, just so you guys know. This is called continual education through your people. And when you do that and you can show them how to become better citizens, how to become better financial citizens, how to do all these things to where when they are at our level, when they get to 20 years in the business, they're owners of stores, they're doing things that are different than the average guy who goes after 20 years going, I don't know how I'm going to retire one day. You guys are showing them a path, giving them an opportunity to be able to one day figure out how they can one day sit back and just go to the beach every day, right? And that's kind of what we all want eventually, in a sense. I don't think that I'll ever be satisfied with just the beach. I think I'm going to be at the beach doing business, right? So that being said, I think I'm always going to be looking to grow, but that's kind of the culture you have there. It's not kind of, that is the culture you have there. Yeah. And Corey, man, shout out to you, brother.
Out to Corey.
I do want to throw a couple because we have these comments coming up, but some of these comments don't show up in our feed because it's like different pages, but I do have a lot of people jumping in saying hello to you this morning. I want to say hi to them. We do have Elise Kephart. What's up, Elise? I love you, girl. She's talking about Scott is the best. Goals on goals. I love that. You got Glenn Pash on here saying love some Scott Simons. We got TKO, Tina Kelly Overfelt. What's up, TKO? What up, Rockstar? She says. We got Doug Thurston talking about he loved meeting you in Lexington. You got Ben St. Hours, man. Love that gentleman, too. He's doing amazing things. He's another one of those CMA guys that are just blowing up.
Rockstar.
Super rock star. Congratulations on his engagement he's had over the last year. I know he's doing some big things too. It's another one of those success stories that have come through the CMA. There's so many of those out there, and we can keep talking about great people in there, but man, and you're one of them,
Yeah, you are definitely one of them. Thank you so much, everybody that's been over there. Don't know why we can't see.
It's weird that they don't always pop up, but I want to throw a shout out.
I have been seeing Russ over here. He has been diligently throwing some great stuff
Russ
in
Hill,
here.
man. What's up, Hollywood?
In here. That lines up with Corey and the whole mentality that's over at CMA. Breaking down an acronym. We love our acronyms, okay? But that LUCK, standing for laboring under correct knowledge. Corey went to work, sat and was a student under great tutelage, under great people showing the way to build up your life, and is moving in the right direction. And some can call it luck and say that, yes, everything just worked out for him. Or they can actually see that there was a journey of him humbling himself so that he could be elevated, so that he could see the path to growing up. And trust me, there's a lot of checkered past people in the auto industry that are so grateful that they have the chance to become professionals connecting to all walks of life. I'm one of them. Scott's one of them. We all have something that could say you're not worthy. But when you get with people that say, wait a minute, no, there's something inside of you.
Yeah.
I want to help make it glow bigger. I want to help it grow bigger. And keeping it on the biblical flow, we have to allow ourselves to be pruned on, to be cut upon.
I agree.
Right. In order for better growth to come. And that's where great mentorship comes in. And you guys provide that. I think that's the middle M of CMA, right? Is mentorship. That should be what it is.
Great.
That's a great way of putting it.
That's a fantastic way of articulating it. And I will say this, Fred, you brought up something earlier, not to interrupt you, Lou.
No, you're good.
I yearly, I spend about $100,000 in self-development. Even where I'm at now, I'm in the Arate Syndicate with Ed Millett and Andy Frisella. Both have turned out to be good friends of mine. 75 hard. I see you out there killing it, bro. Killing it.
Phase 1 right now, brother. Phase 1.
Killing it. You are killing it. Something
Thank
I've
you,
never
Scott.
done before. I've never done. I did 75 hard once and I failed it twice. But anyway, and it's life changing. I still do some of the things with it. And it was actually life changing. But self development never ends.
Nope.
And I spend over $100,000, and I'm in Apex with Ryan Stewman. I'm in Lions Den. I'm working on some things too that I'm gonna bring out to get a community together. But yeah, it's a never ending. It's an infinite game. It's a never ending trying to be the best versions of us possible in all aspects of life, knowing that we're going to have setbacks.
Wow. It's so true though. But that's the thing. Like the more you invest into yourself, like just like you do your community, you have to make sure that it's even. There's this thing called the wheel of life. And I believe, right. And I know Tony Robbins talks about it a lot, and you have to be balanced in all those things. So you have to find those things that are important, that you're going to constantly be working on, but you can't just work on one thing and let another fall, because then your will be unbalanced. So you have to make sure that everything is balanced, that you're constantly working on yourself, your finances, your friends, your family, what things that are important to you that you want to constantly grow. Work on those on a daily and focus on those, and being able to work on yourself. Like you talked about, those things are so important. He just said $100,000. A lot of y'all will be like, whoa, he's crazy. Ooh. No, he's not. Because the return he gets on that investment is huge, huge, folks. It's gigantic. And I guarantee this isn't something that he came up with himself. He's had some mentorships. And that leads me to my next question. You know, we've been getting into mentors. That's a great for the M for CMA, right? We as adults, we as kids, we as people, we have people who've helped us along the way, whether it's our parents, then it becomes our professors, and it goes on, so forth, our leaders. Who in your life has helped you get to the next level? Who has shown you the light? Who showed you, hey, Scott, this is what you do, and you can get to where you want to be? Who have been some of those people, or that person, whichever way you want to answer that?
Yeah, well, my dad was my first mentor, obviously. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for my mom and dad. They sacrificed so much for me. I've always looked up to my brother. I mean, when he graduated with his 4-year degree in 3 years, I had to, beat him by doing it in 2.5. So I've always looked up and admired my brother for the man that he is, the dad that he is. Mentors to me over my automotive career, Grant Cardone. I'm an investor with Grant. I've known him for over 20 years. A lot of my financial strategies I learned through Grant. Right. Carter Myers, which is Carter Myers Automotive. It's Liza's dad. I've always looked up to that man. And even before I went to work for him, I said, man, one day I'd love to work for that man and that company. And then, of course, I met through Carter, his daughter, Liza, which is the CEO of our company. And she's the one that provided me the opportunity. And, the last person I ever want to disappoint, much less my dad, is Carter and Liza. So, I never want to disappoint those people. I want them to be proud that they brought me in as a partner. And I'm very critical of myself and the performance of these stores, because I don't take that chance. I don't take that opportunity they gave me lightly.
Right.
Also, though, there has been times in my career that I was winning personally. I was going toward my goal. It was before I got with Carter Myers Automotive Group. But all I cared about was myself. I didn't care about my family. I didn't care about my wife. I mean, I came first. And when you come first, you're going to end up last. You cannot. When you put other people ahead of you and what their goals, and something that we do here is we ask for if there are 3 personal and 3 professional goals of every associate. And we want to know what's important to them. Then we use that to manage them, because it's not what's important to us. It's what's important to them. And how can we get them to where they want to be? If we get them where they want to be, they'll help us get us to where we want to be. So that's all the concept of moving lives forward, which came from Carter Myers. It came from Liza Borges, my mentors. So yeah, I've been blessed with a lot of really good people in my life. Andy Frisella, Ed Milet, obviously, are people that are mentors, and now they're friends of mine. And sometimes that takes, you got to spend some money. You've got to spend some money to get in those groups. But if you read my bio, all those investments you see are from the original investment that I put in Arate, in Apex, in Lions Den. Like I just invested in a project in Montana I'm about ready to announce with Aaron Wagner, one of my Arate brothers. But that's because I saved my money and invested it in relationships and went and served first. And then just asked if there's any opportunity in the future that I would be a good fit for, either as a partner or investor, please let me know. And that's where all those opportunities came up. But I had to be present. I had to show them that I cared about them first. And then when they called me and said, Scott, we got this project in Montana, and I've got to wire a large amount of money. I'm sitting in the credit union parking lot ready to puke because I'm about ready to wire this money out. Because I don't care what it is. Whenever you wire that money, and when you walk in and say, I need to hit this wire, you get this wanting to puke feeling, no matter what, no matter how much wealth you build or whatever you got.
Sure.
But you still have that feeling. But that's based on relationships and mentorships that's created by having a vision of being in those spaces. I envisioned and then paid and then earned the right to be around Andy Frisella, Ed Milet, Grant Cardone, people like that. So yeah, I've been so blessed and lucky to have so many great mentors in my life. That's big part of my success story and the success that I've had so far.
It is, your network is your net worth. We've all heard that. Show me your 5 closest friends, I'll show you your future. Right. And these things are so true. So surround yourself with greatness. What's so beautiful about that, Scott, and as you've been working so hard, is that there's going to be tons of people that are going to say the same thing about you. And I know that there's already people doing that. I've met them. And that's something that's super special. The idea as a mentoree is to become a mentor one day, to pass that on. That's part of their legacy. Now, it's your legacy that you're passing through, but that is part of the legacy of others too, because they have poured into you. Their cup was overflowing, so they decided to pour into your cup because your cup was empty, because you allowed it to be empty. That's one of the things I love about Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee is a really good philosopher too. A lot of people don't realize, and he talks about that. You must have your cup empty, because when your cup is full, then you think you know everything, right? So always, even when you have a lot of knowledge, empty your cup. Allow it to be filled. And when you're able to do that, you're going to find that you're going to learn so many things, even if it's something you didn't even expect to learn, that's going to help you grow to the next level. A lot of people think, oh man, I got to invest in order to grow. Yes, you do. You got to put some skin in the game, because when you don't have any skin in the game, you don't really find like the energy. You might have excuses come really quick when you have no skin in the game. So that is what's so lovely about what Scott's doing. That is what's so great about the mentorship that he's had. He's named some big names out there, folks. He wasn't doing that to show off. He was doing that to show you that he's trying to get to that level, and he's using his resources, the people that he's connected with, that he's worked to connect with, right? Shown that he has the faith, that he has the work ethic, that he has the ability to be part of this type of group, to be part of this type of mentorship. So, man, honor to you. Looking forward to being mentored by you someday myself. I'm going to reach out to him like, hey, man, what's up?
Hey, one thing, too, I had to learn, which I'll share with everybody. The people that are in your circle, support them financially.
Yes.
If they got something, don't ask for a free ticket to that event. Don't ask for what they can do for you. Support them. So if you've got a product and your friends or product or service, financially support them. Don't, you've got to do something for somebody else before you can ask them to do for you, and guess what? If you do for them, you don't even have to ask, they'll do for you.
Yeah, it's so true.
And it's so many times. Trust me, I was a person that wanted to go and ride the coattails of someone and attend events for free. And hey, what can you do for me? And let me tell you, that is a losing formula.
Yep.
You'll be alone, which at one point I was.
So true.
I agree.
Wow. So powerful on that. So if you all want to show your support, go ahead and go to carguycoffee.com. Go ahead and get you a mug or an inspiration shirt.
Please do support these guys. Absolutely.
Part of the party. I love that, Scott. Thank you so much. That is a great plug. And man, you've said so many things that are like incredible commercials for the auto industry.
Man,
your entire story of how you came into the industry is an example of what should be shown for somebody that's trying to do career planning. Guidance counselors at high schools should have this clip. And I'm going to try to make sure at least our local area does have that, because it's that important that people get focused on this industry the way that you are, and that would help them to not be 20, 30 years into the industry and in the same place that they started.
That's facts. That's so facts.
You've had some great mentors in your life that have paid the price to speak into your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't just let anybody pour into your cup, right? It is important to empty the cup. It is important to fill it up, but not anybody pours in this cup. And you're being ready to puke when you're getting ready to send a wire, but you understand the intention and the importance of sending that wire, making that investment. That doesn't come by happenstance. That's not a whoops, what just happened? No, that's a calculated effort inside of, but still the stretch of faith.
It's
And
hungry. It's make sure you're hungry. You know,
yes,
I don't ever want to get comfortable. Our great friend Glenn Lundy says that we're most comfortable before death. And that's why we do the things that, Fred, you're doing, phase one. Why do you do that? Why do you torture yourself like that? Why do you choose to do what you do? One, it's to challenge ourselves, and when I go look at my bank account, my wife goes, honey, where's our money? Honey, it's invested. We'll be getting checks back. Just have faith. And there's times when I completely invest everything and I don't have 2 nickels to rub together because I'm investing that's going to pay future dividends. And I don't get comfortable, and anybody can do it, whatever level that you're out at. But, saving your money, being financially smart with your money and paying yourself first is extremely important to be able to build freedom first, and then build wealth and a secure financial future.
I love that, and I love that you said that, because it is cool. Pay yourself first, because you need to do that, folks. A lot of people, they get so caught up in so many things that they don't realize that, hey, there is a 20 years from now. There is, what is it going to be like then? You need to start right now. This isn't like, oh, I could wait till next year. I could wait till I get a better check. No, do it right now. Sacrifice now so that later you don't have to. Right. And that's the thing. Like, it may seem, and I hate to even use the word sacrifice because it may seem like a sacrifice, but like he said, he understands, he has faith that he's going to get his return on his investment. He's going to take his last 2 pennies and he's going to make sure that it goes somewhere that it can multiply. When it's able to multiply, then you'll see why it's so important to do that then. We all been there. Man, I wish I would have bought Bitcoin 10 years ago, right? And none of us did. We all heard of it, but none of us did, and things change, things grow, things become more. But believe in your intuition. A lot of times our inner voice is telling you the right thing. If it says don't do it, don't do it. If it says do it, even if it feels uncomfortable. Matter of fact, do it especially if it feels uncomfortable, because that's where real growth happens. And I love that you're on that mission, that you're talking about that and you're sharing that with our audience, because I believe that our audience needs to hear those types of things. We have a lot of car people out there that are listening right now, watching right now, and ones that are watching on the replay and then hear it on the podcast later in the future. Invest in yourself, my friends. Listen to Scott Simon. I'm telling you, Scott Simon has a recipe for success. He's been there. He knows it. He could tell you shortcuts. He could show you this. He could tell you what's not to do and what to do. You could also even give him advice. Now, Scott is not one to just tell people things. He listens. He observes. Every conversation, there's something to be learned. It's every perspective matters. And that's something that Glenn Lundy said recently to me during one of our car church things that we did. And when I heard him say that, I've been saying it like crazy. And it clicked something in my brain to always understand every perspective does matter. Even if it's, to me, completely ignorant, it's still a matter. It does matter. And I need to learn something from that. So,
hey Fred, did you notice at that conference, I sat up front the whole time?
Yep, you did.
Because you know what? I was there to learn.
Yes, you were.
I was there to learn. And how many times do you see a speaker come and speak and leave? They're not there at all.
Nope.
I had to leave a little bit early. And I'll tell you what, one of the more proud moments in my recent life, besides my children being born and of course getting married, et cetera, was when we left. Brian Hess and I left the lunchroom, and we got a standing ovation when we left the last day to go catch a flight.
Yeah.
To get that standing ovation. But yeah, I was there taking notes, old school notes. Yep. And I've got them all in here, dates and everything. When I fill this book up, I put it in the corner. I'll go back and reference. I get another one. But I was there taking notes because you know what? I was there to learn from those speakers. So yeah, it's life. The learning cycle is never ending.
Never ending.
Ever. Never.
I love that, Scott. Love that.
Let's keep on that and taking notes for those of you that are taking notes of this incredible solutionary that we're brewing with here. And let's figure this part out, because we've talked about a lot of victories. We talked about a lot of things that have panned out and worked out well, great lessons that we've learned, and being even available for the right people to speak into our life, and then for us to speak into others' lives. But what is, for Scott, what has been the hardest lesson you've had to learn?
Yeah, the hardest lesson that I've had to learn is when I was winning, I was marching toward achieving my goal, but I was failing everywhere else. And I was putting myself first above everybody else. And you may win that way, but when I looked in the mirror, I was 265 pounds. I was so ashamed of the person that I had become that I shaved in the dark. And I don't know how low a human could be, when they can't even look at themselves in the mirror. But that was me.
Wow.
So I would shave in the dark, and I would go and I'd have cuts all over my face, and people at work. And of course, my face is substantially bigger than it is now. I mean, I look like I look like a blowfish. But anyway, and people would be like, what happened? And I was too embarrassed to tell them. But I was so ashamed I wouldn't even look in the mirror, and I would have to shave, because I believe in personal, it's kind of like the Yankees, I do believe in that, and I've never had facial hair really, so I would go in, but I was in such a dark place, and that was a big turning point for me. One, typically we only make those changes when we have to, and my blood pressure was so high they thought I was either having a stroke or a heart attack, and
wow.
What I would ask people would be, don't wait till it gets to that point, because it could have killed me that day. I mean, I literally could have died. I was rushed to the ER, I was right off the showroom floor, was given nitroglycerin. They were like, you're either having a stroke or a heart attack. And I'm like, all y'all need to chill. I'm cool. I need to get back to work. Like, y'all, I don't know why y'all are freaking out. They're ripping shirts off of me, smacking me on a gurney, rushing me back, giving me nitroglycerin. And I'm like, they're like, are you,
let's get that up.
Yeah. They're like, are you, how do you feel? I said, well, I was feeling pretty good till I got here. But I mean, obviously y'all are freaking me out here. I'm good. My mom's Italian. We're tough,
That's right.
But that was a low point in my life. That was the lowest point of my life. And I finally said, I'm not going to, I've got to make changes, both in my health, my relationships. And, I got to be a much better husband, a much better, dad, a much better friend. And man, that's when my career blossomed. And that's when Carter Myers, years later came and gave me the opportunity to come partner with them. I always could produce, producing, pushing, that's performance. I'm very critical, but I was performing, but man, I was just not a good person. I'd lost myself. I don't know if y'all have ever done that before, where you don't even recognize the person in the mirror. And that's a pretty low feeling. And I ask people to make those changes before they get to that point, because you may not get that second chance that I got.
Man, that's so true. Because you're right. Because at a second, your life could be over, right? Your career could be over. Everything could be done. And your heart could stop. You could stop breathing, and that's the thing. It doesn't matter how healthy you are either. That can happen today. So every day is an opportunity to be the best version of yourself.
Fred, I think the reason why my heart didn't stop is because I didn't have one at that time.
Ooh, that's deep. That's super deep, Scott. I mean, that's like emotionally deep. That's a mic drop moment. And you're so right on the money on that. And man, I'm glad you added that little 2 cents there, because I think people need to hear that. Wow. It wasn't, his heart didn't stop because he didn't have one.
If I only had a heart.
Now, folks, that's because what I love about that is self-reflection beyond other. That is self-growth beyond other. When you realize that, and you can be critical of yourself enough to say, hey, I could honestly say that wasn't who I was. That's who I was then, and who I'm not going to be ever again. And you made a change, and that change did big things for you. For one, it extended your life. You lost weight. Your blood pressure's dropped. You look great, Scott. I don't know why you don't look in the mirror. I would look at myself in the mirror if I looked like you every single day, right? I'm glad that all changed for you, because that is a depressing place to be. I was up at one point. I weigh about 180. I walk around 180, 175, depending on how much water I drink, right? And then, but I was up to 230, 235 at one point. And for me, that was very unhealthy, very uncomfortable. And I was a very similar spot as you. I was very depressed. I didn't realize I was selling cars. I was doing great, but I was very selfish at the time. I thought I was the closer, and I was all these things. Everything I was doing was for the wrong reason. Once I flipped the script and I started doing things that were more productive for other people, I started getting myself in shape, making it more of an example for others, being a mentor to others, showing people this is the lifestyle you want to be, and this is how I have the energy. All these things all come together to be able to become the best version of yourself. I'm glad you shared that with us, and that's some pretty deep stuff. That's really deep.
As far as hard lessons that we all have to learn, that is often the one that we could lock up our shoulders on and not forgive ourselves for being so stupid. We know better. In a lot of cases, we've been taught better, right? You've had a hard lesson. And at the point of saying, Dad, let's park up the block so that I don't have to be seen being who it is that I am. But that father corrected that into you now. You know what I mean? To where you're not ashamed of who you are now. You're not in the dark anymore, trying to cut on yourself, right? That's not happening anymore. And you're bringing hope to other people because you took what we keep getting lost in is thinking that it's all about us, especially in the luxury that we have in being in an incredible country where we can do and be anybody that we want to be. We have an incredible blessing inside of this country, but we are speaking to people that are outside of this country too, right? But we all have the opportunity on this earth to create an incredible life, but it's not for us alone. It comes through us, right? To other people. And that is the legacy that we should be investing into, right? Your father may not have been the one that gave you all of the mentorship to get you to where it is that you are automotive wise, but he planted a seed in you
Yeah, he did.
of true love that said, don't be ashamed of who you are, son. You be that, you be them. And all that you did by shaving off all of that other person that was on you, right, is cut away everything that wasn't you to start to discover and see who it is that you actually are. And then you started to see your life glow, blossom, and actually have fulfillment. But that glimpse of I could have been dead right there helps you now to every bite of something that you love to eat, every sip of water, everything is appreciated differently. That level of gratitude's at another level because of your appreciation for not just the life that you have, but the people around you, the blessings that keep finding your way. You know what I mean? And you keep operating in faith. And that's something that a lot of people need to see, is that your greater rewards come the more that you invest, utilizing not just your finances and your resources, but your faith. Where you invest your faith, folks, it pays back dividends way beyond dollars and cents.
And it really does, and all that stuff added together. We've talked about your why. We talked about what drives you. We talked about what got you in this business. We talked about your mentors, right? We talked about failures. Now, this last question I have for you it's really important. And it's something that I think that we all need to shine on. It's what has been your greatest reward for all the hard work that you put together over the last forever years, right? All the work since the day you were born, really. What has been your greatest reward?
A couple of situations. My daughter, when COVID happened,
right,
she worked in a nursing home, and both of our children have worked. She's now a freshman in college, and my wife called me and said, "Hey, I don't know if you know it or not, but there's COVID issues at where our Morgan is working, and she's not going to go back." And I said, "Well, wait a minute." I said, "Hold on. I understand you're concerned. I'm concerned. But have we talked to Morgan about this yet? We're making a decision for our daughter, and we raised her to make her own decisions and be independent." So we had a meeting with our daughter, made her aware of the COVID cases. And I just said, "Morgan, it's up to you. You don't have to go back there and work. There's COVID cases there. What do you want to do?" And she said, "Well, Dad, I wear a mask and I feel safe.
Wow.
And I want to go back to work." And that made me really proud. I know that sounds kind of hokey, but that was a chance in life where I think she could have chose to back down or chose to. She stood up and she said, I'm not afraid." Some people say that's crazy. Take your daughter out of there. I didn't think it was crazy at all. And I was very proud of her. My son, by living through example, he, up until this last year, was a below average wrestler, lost most of his matches, and we got him in MMA and some things, and we invest in him. He plays football, and something clicked, and he won 75% of his matches.
Boom, let's go.
And there was a time where he wrestled 2 matches, and they call it like a marquee matchup. I don't know what they call it in different areas, where they pick 2 wrestlers and it's a bonus wrestle. He'd already wrestled twice, and the best kid that stepped up is the best kid around. And he had beat my son before, and they said, "Hey, Dawson, do you want to go?" He'd already wrestled twice. And he said, and he knew who he was wrestling. He looked across. He strapped up his helmet. Now he went out.
Now, goosebumps, bro.
now he lost.
Oh,
but that's
man.
okay.
That's not what matters. Yeah.
He didn't back down. When you see your children make those decisions, those are the greatest rewards.
Yes,
when I see people that not even wanting to look at myself in the mirror to wanting to take pictures with me,
Yes.
to leaving the lunchroom and getting a standing ovation, for the people to say all the kind things about me when I was a human that didn't deserve that. I forgive that person. That person's not alive anymore.
Come on.
Amen.
I'm not going to act like it never happened, because it did happen. It made me to who I am today.
Come on.
So if you're out there and you're dealing with adversity and you're not where you want to be in life, you too can make changes.
Wow.
But you've got to really want to make those changes. And it starts with you, not everybody else. It starts with you, and you got to take action.
Oh,
And that's what I'd like to, leave everybody else on. The greatest reward is I was blessed with the second opportunity, and I'm not gonna let it go in vain. And you don't have to be where you are either. You don't have to shave in the dark.
Wow, you do not have to shave in the dark. Come on now.
Wow.
Come
Scott,
on, y'all.
goosebumps, bro.
Woo.
Goosebumps over here. I mean, literally goosebumps. Facts. Wow. I mean, just the story of your daughter doing that. Then you hit us with your son stepping up after wrestling 2 matches, going against the best one there, and just didn't even second guess it. Put his headgear on and said, "Let's go." That is exactly what you're talking about. That is exactly what it feels like to have the greatest reward happen when you see people you've poured into, especially when it's your blood, your children. And I know that to you, it's beyond that. It's your children, yes, but then your team members and so on and so forth. I know you can probably name a million stories, but those 2 stories there gave me super goosebumps, like massive, like very proud. I feel like they were my children, and I witnessed that happen, and I can imagine that feeling, of just that. It's more than pride. It's like, wow, they're adults. They make decisions that are beyond what the average person would walk away from. That is powerful, and that is cool, and that is seed that you've been laying for a long time, that you planted, that you've been watering and fertilizing, and you're finally starting to see harvest from it. That is beautiful.
Both children facing physical threats, literal physical threats to themselves, and stepping up like that. Dad,
powerful. This
is not something that you would necessarily see as statistically lining up. The dad, the one being afraid to shave in the light, then having children that are stepping up to what is a physical threat to them. That is not just a testament to what great leadership, great mentorship, great access, but great submission is, that you allowed yourself to also submit to the decision of your own kids to make the choice for themselves. And that, folks, is truly living, seeing your children doing things like Scott just described. That's where we truly feel the glory. Again, you can't put a dollar on that. You can't put a calculation to the level of joy that you have for that. And as a dad, I totally attach to that and appreciate that. I mean, stories for days, I'm sure, that you can explain of other events of your kids stepping up like that. But that's what we do it for, folks, for the next generation. And you may not have children,
it's
right?
Called legacy, my friends.
And you lead people. And you see your salespeople do things that they were once scared to do. You see any of your other workers inside of the dealership world do things that they were once intimidated by, step up to the plate and accomplish great things. This is part of the legacy that you can be part of sowing seeds into. My man Scott is a true example of a solutionary doing those things. I can't wait to grow and learn more. But folks, we've already gone through an hour, 10 minutes.
I know Scott is a busy time, but it was a lot of fun. The one thing I want to say, the one big word I want to say right now to Scott is thank you.
Yes.
Right. I want to thank you for your time today. Thank you for coming on the show, sharing your story, uplifting us. Man, it's been very impactful. I've already got a few quotes from you that I just absolutely I wrote them down. Like, much like you, I take notes every time I interview somebody. Much like you, I take notes when I go to these events, because to me, that's where growth is. To me, I'm going to learn something from every conversation that I possibly can. Even if I don't agree with it, I'm still going to learn something from it.
Right.
Well, friend Luke, thank you so much, for having me on. Thank you for pouring into people in the auto industry that we all love and beyond. Thank you for being a positive light to people in what can be a very dark world. I respect and admire both of y'all gentlemen. And if there's anything I can ever do for you, you make that one phone call and I'll answer.
And I believe you on that. You know, the one thing I want to point out real quick, the whole show, folks, if you guys haven't noticed, behind Scott's head, it says growth.
Right?
Make sure that it's just coincidental, right? What I can say is this, right? That's right.
There you go.
And he's always looking for growth. Keep looking for growth, my friends. Keep being inspirational. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us. We're at 321-FRED-LOU. That's our phone number. Of course, you can reach us at fred@carguycoffee.com, lou@carguycoffee.com. Now, Scott, if they want to reach out to you, send you a message of encouragement, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
They can I'm on Facebook, also on Instagram, Scott E. Simons and I'm at scottesimons@gmail.com. But yeah, just send me a message through Instagram. Unfortunately, I think my Facebook, I've got to do a business page. I keep putting it off because I'm at a friend's max. But guys, thank you so much for having me on. I admire, respect both of you. I love your energy. I love what you do for this auto industry that we love and beyond. And anything I could do for y'all gentlemen, reach out. And thank y'all all for tuning in. And please share this out. These gentlemen, they give us their time, a very valuable resource by pouring in and spotlighting us. And the best thing we can do is support them.
Wow. Scott, thank you so much. And we honor that. We will make sure we keep honoring those words. Folks, if you guys want to get a hold of him, go to Facebook, go to LinkedIn. It's Scott E. Simons at gmail.com. If you want to send him a quick message, let him know you love him, because I love the guy. I'm so excited that he is my friend. I love this guy. We're so excited.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Salute
we appreciate you.
brother.
Take care.
Car
you have
guys,
a great day. Car guys.
This
Car
has
guys.
been a great show with the one and only Scott Simons. I am Lou Ramirez, the car guy.
And I am Fred Lenartz, the subprime hero.
And you have been brewing solutions on the Car Guy Coffee Podcast. Make sure that you share and pass this all around. Light up Scott with love, and we cannot wait to brew more solutions with you. The incredible Michelle McLean has her 2 episodes out right now, and you can get them by going to anywhere it is that you get your podcast. Once again,
that's right.
We look forward to seeing you at the Women of Automotive event in Tampa. We will see you soon. Love you all. Peace.